In my past life, many, many moons ago, I was working in my barber shop, and this lady was trying to get through the door with her husband's wheelchair, and she was struggling. So I saw that struggle. I set my clippers down, and I ran on over and helped them out. We managed, and I reached my hand out to shake his hand, but I was in this awkward position when he couldn't shake my hand and reach his hand up. He was paralyzed from the neck down. So I just tapped him on the shoulder and introduced myself. Told him I had 2 haircuts to finish up. If they're willing to wait, I'll be right to him. So when I finally got to the man that I assisted through the door, I apologized for the wait. I moved my big, heavy barber chair to the side, and I rolled up his wheelchair. At that moment, I realized he had on a pair of my favorite Nikes, so I said, hey, tell me a little bit about those old shoes. We chatted a little bit about that just to spark conversation. And that led to questions and connections, and we chatted for about 20 minutes, finished up the haircut, took the cape off, put it to the side. Now I realized I couldn't shake his hand at this point, so I hugged him like I would an old friend. I said, thanks for coming in today. I'd love to have you back. Customer service is less about the service offered to the customer and more about how the customer felt during that service. In my past life, as a barber, I learned so much about customer service and building rapport. Those 9 years of cutting hair were integral to that. That experience with Alan is a great example of those lessons. In that story with Alan, there were 4 fundamental tools that I used to build rapport and to have that customer service. I call them the 4 A's. If implemented with your team and with your staff, they're gonna help you to become a more likable people person. We all know that's one of the best assets to have as a dentist. They're gonna help you change the way people feel about you, the way they feel about the service that you offer, and that's gonna help you achieve an entirely new level of success in your practice, both as a clinician with great bedside manner, but also as a leader. The first is ask. Asking questions has to be done well, and it has to be done often. Every single person in this room that you meet is a complete stranger at some point. The only way to move away from stranger is to ask questions. Questions that dig deeper than just, how are you? Hey, how was your weekend? The goal is to break the ice with conversation. We gotta find something that we can run with, something that we can have that Me Too moment with, something we relate to or have in common, something that makes us make this face. And then we gotta run with it. Here's some freebies. I often ask questions like, do you have any hobbies, kids, pets? What do you do for work? Where are you from? We have to find something that we can discuss to move away from that stranger title. When 2 people are on the same side of something, that evokes emotion. A good example of that, I'm a Cavs fan. If you're a Cavs fan, that's gonna make me emotional. I wanna go hug him. If he's a Warriors fan, I'll trip him, I promise you. Here's the challenge. When you get to your practice, ask questions that spark conversation. People will get personal and share so much if you'll just ask. Now, you can't just ask for the sake of asking. You may not even be interested, and that may be a step that you have to fake at first. But that leads me into my second A, attention. The attention that patients measure and quality time, 2-way conversation, and presence of the dentist. Not multitasking, and we've all done this. We're guilty of looking at the schedule behind the patient's back and they're blabbering about something in our ear, about something we could care less about. But it's in those moments that you have to square up, make eye contact. That's where the magic happens. That's what's gonna give you that title of people person. If you can do that, that person in that moment is your best marketing tool. And they're gonna remember the way they felt when they leave. When a haircut took me 10 minutes, and now let's say a filling takes me 10 minutes, I spend 15 in the room, just to talk and chat. Doing that is gonna change the way they feel, and they're gonna remember that. The third A is apologize. Believe it or not, an apology when something isn't ideal is a great way to buffer bad customer service. It can also build rapport. There was a journal, Business Ethics, it found that leaders who apologized for their mistakes were perceived as stronger and more inspirational than leaders that didn't acknowledge their mistakes. Now, we can all think of a time where you can think of let's say, a situation that could have been calmed, or a disgruntled patient calmed down by just simply saying, hey, ma'am, sir, I apologize. Here's the next challenge. When your hygienist is running behind, run out into the waiting room, sit next to them, say, hey, I'm sorry for the delay. If you can apologize and be humble in that moment, it's gonna take you so far. I call that patient retention and damage control. That's the stuff that really makes a difference with your patients. Now, I know at first when you think about running out into talking to patients, this might be you. But eventually, when you fake it enough, that awkward interaction will be a lot easier. Attitude. The fourth A. This is the most important to master, to build rapport, and to do those things. It's the attitude to be willing to ask those questions, to give that undivided attention, and to offer that humble apology. Now, we all in the room have a different attitude of where we're at in our career, where we're at in our life. Putting a smile on your face may not be you in that moment. It hasn't been me at some moments. But if you can do that for the sake of building rapport and make that patient feel better in that moment than they did before you walked into the room, you're going to win them over. These four things, they're not new to any of you, but they're so often missed. They're not going to make your next feeling better. They're not going to get you a scanner. But it'll change the way the person feels about you and your service. It's going to give them a likely reason to give you a referral or review. It's going to change the perception of the dollar spent worth the service rendered. And then it'll let you redo work even if it's needed without a single complaint. Some of you may have heard of the BLT concept: believable, likable, trustworthy. It states that if someone likes you, they want to believe you, and if they like and believe you, they'll trust you. I'll admit, I just heard about this like a week ago, but I had to mention it mainly because of my love for bacon. Had some of that this morning. But if you can do these four easy A's, people are going to like, believe, and trust you. And that's the true foundation for repeat business and reviews and word-of-mouth referrals. That experience Alan had that day with me was the reason he became one of my most loyal clients the entire time I cut hair. The attention I gave him would affect the way he felt about me. The questions about something as simple as shoes would make him describe me as down to earth to fellow church members, to friends. Even when his brother got married, he sent all of the groomsmen to me. Not because my haircuts were sharp, trust me, they were. But because of the rapport I had built with him and the way he felt every single time he came to see me. Y'all may have heard Dave Ramsey talk about yesterday. He goes to his hygienist because of who she is, not what she does. It's that same mentality. So it's time. Go become a people person. Make people feel valued. Then you get to sit back and enjoy the reviews, the referrals, the repeat business, and the rewards. It's not going to be easy at first, but you can fake it till you make it. Thank you.